There's a moment, and if you haven't hit it yet, I promise you, you eventually will, where the noise of your daily life just stops. Maybe you're in a hospital waiting room, just staring at the pattern on the floor tiles. Or, I don't know, maybe you're standing in a quiet field.
Or looking at an empty chair at the dinner table.
Exactly, the empty chair.
Yeah.
And in that silence, you realize you are staring at the absolute edge of the map. You're at the end. At death.
The great unknown.
The cliff edge, right. And, in the West, or really I think just in the modern world in general, we tend to freeze up when we get to that edge.
Yeah, we really do.
We treat it like, I don't know, a technical failure, a glitch in the system. We lower our voices, we put on black suits, we try to tidy it all up and sanitize it, keep it behind closed doors. We don't really know what to do with ourselves.
Well, it's the ultimate user experience problem, isn't it? If you think about it, if life is the interface, then death is the crash.
The crash, yeah.
And the question becomes, user has reached the end of the life cycle, how do we handle the offboarding? And you're right, we usually just improvise, we fumble through it.
But that's the thing, what if? What if the silence isn't the only option? What if we didn't have to improvise? What if I told you there's a manual, an actual physical design language that tells us exactly what to do, what to hold, and where to look when we get to that edge?
Well, that's just a fascinating premise. And the sources we're looking at today, they suggest that for thousands of years, people didn't improvise at all. They had a script. They had a plan.
And that script is what we're digging into today. We've got a whole stack of notes here, articles, observations, architectural studies that are taking us to two completely different coordinates in China.
Right.
Coordinate A is a loud, chaotic, a rural funeral in Henan province. And coordinate B is this silent, mathematically precise temple in the hills outside Beijing.
Two wildly different settings. I mean, they're almost polar opposites in terms of the sensory experience.
Totally. But they're connected by this one concept in the reading called the sushu.
Right. The sushu.
Now, I love this term. It translates to what? A plain book? Or a book of simplicity?
That's right. Su means plain, unadorned, simple. Shu is book or writing. But, don't let the name fool you. It isn't some paperback you'd pick up at an airport bookstore.
Right. It's not a self-help book.
No, not at all. It's not a pamphlet you get at a gift shop. The idea here, and this is the core of it, is that the rituals themselves, the architecture, the way a building is aligned with a mountain, even the specific wood that's used in a staff, these physical things are the book.
So the landscape is the text.
The landscape is the text. Exactly. I mean, our ancestors couldn't text us, could they? They couldn't leave us a video diary or a cloud backup of all their wisdom.
No Dropbox for ancient philosophy.
Exactly. So they wrote their understanding of life and death into the landscape, into the rituals. They encoded the wisdom into the physical world around us.
And that is our mission today. We are going to read this plain book. We're going to decode how these two very specific sites handle the crushing weight of grief. And I have to say, looking at all this research, this is not the vague Hallmark card comfort I was sort of expecting.
Oh, no.
It's not time heals all wounds or anything like that.
It's
aggressive.
It is visceral. That's the key word I kept writing down in the margins of my notes. It's visceral. It's not abstract philosophy. It's physical action.
It's almost a tale of physics. I mean, on one side, in the village, you have this hot, intense energy. It really feels like they're physically fighting death, like a force of nature. And then in the temple, it's cool. It's all about hydraulics and gravity and flow.
That's a great way to frame it, actually. The hot resistance versus the cool acceptance. It's friction versus flow.
So let's start with the heat. Let's go to the Henan countryside.
Yeah.
Really want to understand what is happening in this rural funeral, because the notes mention something about splitting the stars, and honestly, that just sounds like science fiction to me.
Let's go there. So I want you to imagine a rural village in the central plains of China, dirt roads, a huge open sky. Maybe you can smell harvesting in the air.
Okay.
This isn't a sanitized funeral home with soft carpet and air conditioning. This is happening out in the open, under the sky.
Right. I'm there. I can picture it.
And the ritual that we're looking at revolves entirely around the Big Dipper.
The Big Dipper, the constellation.
Beidou, yes. Now, in the West, the Big Dipper is Well, it's just a ladle in the sky, isn't it? Maybe you use it to find the North Star so you don't get lost while camping.
Yeah, it's a navigational tool, a map point.
It's a tool, exactly. But in traditional Chinese cosmology, Beidou is so much more than that. It is the administrator of fate.
The administrator of fate, what does that mean?
Think of it as the cosmic clock of the universe. It rotates around the North Star, and its handle marks the seasons. When the handle points east, it's spring. South, it's summer. West, it's autumn. North, winter. It literally drives the time of the world. And because it drives time, it dictates life and death. The Lord of the Dipper, a Taoist deity, was often seen as the one who literally writes down your lifespan in a great ledger.
So it's not just scenery. It's not just a pretty pattern. It's the mechanism. It's the gears of the machine that runs everything.
It is the mechanism. And in this Henan ritual, they bring that mechanism down to earth. They stage what the source material calls a starry confrontation.
A starry confrontation. I love that phrasing.
It's fantastic, isn't it? The source describes this incredible visual where the funeral procession literally mimics the shape of the constellation. But they do something very specific, something that visualizes the crisis of death. They split the constellation in half.
Okay, you have to break that down for me. How do you split a constellation with people? I'm trying to visualize this whole thing.
Think about the shape of the dipper. It's iconic, right? You have the scoop, that boxy part that looks like it could hold water. And you have the handle, the 3 or 4 stars trailing off in a line.
Got it. Scoop and handle.
In the funeral ritual, they assign these parts to physical objects and to people. The coffin. The coffin represents the scoop.
Okay, so the coffin is the scoop.
The bucket.
And the source material is very, very specific about this next part. It emphasizes that the coffin is painted black. Pitch black.
And why black? Is that just, the standard color for mourning?
Well, yes, but it's deeper than that here. It represents the void, the darkness of the night sky, the great yin. The scoop, which is the container of the dead, is the black void. It represents the final resting place, the great unknown. It is the part of the constellation that holds the darkness.
Okay, so you have this black box, the vessel for the dead. That's the scoop of the dipper. So then what is the handle?
The handle is the white mourning cloth. In Chinese, it's called the su. It's this long, long piece of white fabric, and it's draped over the living descendants, the children, the grandchildren, who are either kneeling or walking in the procession.
And they are all wearing white.
They're all in white. So visually, if you could look at the whole scene from above, say you were a drone flying overhead, you would see a black box, the scoop, and physically connected to it, a long, winding line of white figures, the handle.
Wow, that's striking graphic design, for one. You have the black of death and the white of life physically linked together.
It's a binary system. It's powerful, isn't it? Black and white, yin and yang, dead and living. And here is the core insight of the whole ritual. In the sky, the scoop and the handle are locked together. They rotate around the North Star as a single unit.
You can't separate them.
You cannot have the handle without the scoop. If you take away the handle, it's just a meaningless box. If you take away the scoop, it's just a random line. They define each other.
I see where this is going. By arranging the funeral this way, with the white cloth connecting the living to the coffin, the ritual is forcing the family to acknowledge that they are still attached to the deceased.
It's a powerful physical denial of separation.
Because that's how we usually think of death, right? It's a cutting off. You are gone. I am here. The link is broken. Scissors. Done.
Exactly. That's the modern anxiety, isn't it? I have lost them. The connection is severed. But this ritual says, no. The link is rigid. It is physical.
Wow.
The handle moves the scoop. The scoop anchors the handle. Think about the physics of a ladle. The handle is what gives the scoop its purpose and its direction. The living descendants, by acting as the handle, are the ones who move the dead through the final ritual. They guide them.
And the dead. The dead anchors the living. It gives them a purpose in that moment.
Yes. It creates a unified system. You aren't just gone. You have simply become the other part of the mechanism. You are part of the turning of the heavens.
That makes the family feel huge, doesn't it? It must. You aren't just a few sad kids crying over a parent in the dirt. You are the handle of the Big Dipper. You have a cosmic function to perform.
It elevates the grief. It takes it out of the realm of petty individual sadness, and it puts it into the realm of universal law. It validates the burden you're carrying.
It says, yes, this is heavy. Of course it's heavy. You are dragging a star.
You are dragging a star. That's a perfect way to put it. Man, that gives me chills. It transforms the suffering into work, into meaningful work.
Into a job.
Precisely. But there is another layer here, and this is where that confrontation part really comes in. This isn't a passive acceptance of a cosmic role. This is where we get to that aha moment, the one you highlighted, regarding the coffin itself.
Yes. Okay, I highlighted this part in neon yellow in my notes. I actually had to reread it 2 or 3 times to make sure it wasn't a typo, because it contradicts everything we think we know about funerals.
It catches everyone off guard when they first encounter it.
So usually you call a coffin,
Yep.
a box, a casket, a sarcophagus, a tomb. It's a container for a dead thing. The name reflects the function.
Right.
But in this Henan custom, they have a specific name for it, and they call it hu,
Who?
which translates to living or alive.
Correct. They call the coffin the living.
I need you to explain the logic here because it feels completely counterintuitive. You are standing in front of a corpse, the person is gone, the doctor has called the time of death, the heart has stopped beating. Why on earth would you point at that box and call it the living? Is it just a superstition? Like, oh, don't say the word death or bad things will happen.
See, that's the modern cynic in us talking, right? We immediately assume it's avoidance. We assume they are just scared of the bad luck associated with the word death.
Of course, that's the logical leap.
But the source material is very clear on this. It is not just a superstitious euphemism. It is a philosophical declaration.
A declaration.
Think about the audacity of that for a second. You are standing in front of the ultimate defeat, death. The heart has stopped, the breath is gone, and you point to the vessel containing it and you say, with a straight face, this is alive.
It's defiant.
It is incredibly defiant. It's a flat-out refusal to accept the definition of death as the end. By naming the coffin Wu, they are asserting that death is simply a different form of existence. It is a profound confirmation of life's continuity.
It's like they're gaslighting the void.
Or maybe they're correcting the record. I mean, think about physics again. The first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This ritual is the cultural expression of that physical law.
Ah, that's a great connection.
By naming the coffin Huo, they are asserting that the person has simply entered a different state of being. The dark part of the star cycle, sure, but still part of the system. Still in motion.
So it changes the entire vibe of the funeral. You aren't burying the dead, you are burying the living. It implies that the energy, the spirit, or just the biological fact of having existed continues on.
It connects right back to the stars. The stars don't die when they set below the horizon. They just move to a place where we can't see them. They're still there. The Huo, or living coffin, is a way of saying the person has just moved to a different part of the cycle. The black part of the dipper rather than the white part, but they are still in the constellation.
That is such a powerful reframing. It's an act of intellectual and spiritual rebellion against the finality of it all.
It is, and it seems like this theme of aggressive vitality, this stubborn insistence on life, continues with the other props they use. We have to talk about the willow branch.
The willow branch, right.
The willow is the biological counterpart to the stellar metaphor. It brings the cosmic down to the earth, into your hands.
Okay, so the children of the deceased, the ones forming that white handle of the star, they're holding something. The source calls it a mourning staff or a cry stick. But it's not just any old stick. It has to be made of willow.
Specifically Salix babylonica, the weeping willow.
Now, why willow? My first thought was, well, it's a weeping willow. It looks sad. Its branches droop down. It seems to fit the mood perfectly.
And that's the poetic association we have in the West, for sure. But in this context, it isn't about the shape of the branches at all. It's about the raw biology of the tree. The specific phrase used in the local custom is, willow inserted in soil becomes alive.
Ah, right. I've heard this. You can cut a branch off a willow tree, stick it in the ground, and it will just grow roots. It'll become a new tree.
Exactly. You don't need seeds. You don't need careful grafting. You can violently sever a limb from a willow, jam it into the mud, and it springs back to life. It's the ultimate symbol of regeneration.
It's aggressively vital.
It's almost unkillable. It wants to live. So picture this scene. The parent has died. Their body is like withered wood. It's inert. It's gone. But the children are standing there holding these fresh green willow branches.
The symbolism is just.
Yeah.
It's right there in your face. It's not subtle.
Yeah. It couldn't be clearer. The parent may be the old tree that has fallen, but the children are the cuttings. They are the willow branches. They represent the regrowth. By holding that green living wood in their hands, they are physically acting at the promise that life does not stop.
It's a baton pass. A biological baton pass.
It is, and it's a hot baton pass. It's not a sad, wilting flower. Willow grows fast. It's eager. It's insistent. So the Henan approach, if we were to summarize this entire segment, is towards death-defined life.
Towards death-defined life.
I like that. It is stubborn. It is heated. It is an energetic, full-throated confrontation with the void. It uses the stars to say, we are still connected, and it uses the plants to say, we will grow back. It confronts the fear of the end by insisting, loudly and visually, that there is no end.
It's like they're shouting at the void, you can't take us, we are the handle, we are the willow, we are alive.
Yes. It's a warrior's approach to grief. You fight the darkness with light. You fight the silence with the loud assertion of life. It's for the part of us that gets angry at death, the part that wants to punch the wall. This ritual gives you a way to punch the wall without breaking your hand.
Man, that is intense. And it makes so much sense for a rural environment, doesn't it? Where you are close to the earth, you're close to the seasons, you see things die and grow back every single year. You know that winter isn't the final word.
Absolutely. It's a deeply agrarian philosophy born from watching the cycles of nature, but not everyone wants to punch the wall.
Right. I was just thinking that sometimes when you're grieving, you don't have the energy to fight. You don't want to be a stubborn willow branch. You just want to collapse.
And that is why the Plain Book has a second chapter.
Okay, so we're going to shift scenes now. We are leaving the dusty, noisy, blazing symbolism of the Henan funeral, with its black and white contrasts and its living coffins. And we are traveling to Beijing.
To the Western Hills.
The atmosphere changes completely here in the source material. We are moving from people and rituals to landscape and architecture, from noise to silence, from heat to cool.
And this transition is so important because not everyone fights grief with a shout. Some people need a whisper. Some people need a place to be held.
So we arrive at Daju Temple, the Temple of Great Awakening. Just the name itself sounds peaceful. It sounds like taking a deep breath.
It does.
And the source material we're drawing from here, Dio and the World, it doesn't focus on the statues or the rituals inside. It focuses on the geography of the place.
The geography of grief, really.
It says the layout is high in the west, low in the east.
And this is the natural topography of the Western Hills. The mountains are behind you in the west, and the land slopes down towards the city of Beijing in the east. Now, a regular architect, or maybe a lazy one, might just bulldoze the land flat to build their temple.
Sure. Make a nice level pad. It's easier to build.
It's easier, but you lose the genius of the place. The designers of Daju Temple did something brilliant. They utilized this natural elevation drop. They worked with gravity, not against it.
To create a water feature.
Yes, but not just a decorative fountain in a corner. They channeled a constant flow of spring water to run through the entire complex. Because of gravity, the water flows naturally from the high ground in the west, down through the temple, winding through the courtyards, always moving towards the east.
And according to our source, this isn't just landscaping. It's not just, oh, look, a pretty stream to make the temple feel nice.
No.
The flowing water symbolizes something very specific.
It symbolizes human tears.
Human tears.
Yes.
I have to be honest with you, when I first read that, I recoiled a bit. It sounds incredibly depressing. I mean, who wants to visit a temple that is literally awash in a river of tears? It sounds like the saddest place on earth.
It does sound grim if you think of tears as a mistake. If you think of sadness as something to be fixed or something to get over. But remember, this is a Buddhist temple. And in the Buddhist worldview, suffering dukkha is a fundamental constant of existence.
Right. The first noble truth. Life is suffering.
Exactly. Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, and death is suffering. It's all inevitable. Just as gravity inevitably pulls water downhill, life inevitably produces sorrow. You cannot stop gravity.
Yeah.
And you cannot stop loss.
So the architecture is just admitting it. It's laying it bare.
It's validating it. It's saying it out loud. Imagine walking through this space. You hear the water constantly. You see it moving beside you. It's an external representation of what's happening inside you, inside everyone. The source says this water represents the accumulated tears of all living beings flowing through the world. It's a river of sorrow that never really stops.
So when you walk through this temple, you are walking alongside this visual, audible representation of the world's pain. The temple is saying, you are not wrong for being sad. The world is made of this flow. Your own grief is just a drop in this river.
It's the absolute opposite of chin up, don't cry. It's saying, look, the mountain is crying too. The earth itself is weeping. You are not alone in this.
But here's the crucial question then. Where does the water go? Because if the water just flooded the temple, it would be a disaster. If it's just pooled and stagnated, it would be overwhelmingly depressing. The brilliance of Daju Temple has to be the destination.
The destination. That is the key to the entire design.
So where do all these tears go?
The water channels, they're not random. They are designed with incredible precision to flow specifically into one place. They all converge and flow into the Dabaitan.
The Dabaitan, the Great Compassion Altar.
Exactly.
Okay, let's pause on the name for a second because I want to play word detective here. Dabai. In modern Chinese, the word bai usually means sad, right? Like bai shang is the word for sadness or sorrow.
Yes. Bei acts as a root word for sorrow in many common compounds.
So is this the altar of great sadness? Is it a place where you go to be, extra super sad?
This is a very common linguistic confusion, and it's a great question because the source makes a point to clarify it. In modern, everyday Chinese, bei often links to sadness. But in this specific Buddhist architectural context, dabei is a translation. It refers to the Sanskrit concept of mahakaruna, great compassion.
Mahakaruna.
And specifically, the definition of this particular compassion is the removal of suffering. So dabei isn't great sadness, it is the great remover of sadness.
Oh, wow. Okay, that flips the script entirely.
It changes everything. The altar acts as a massive container. It sits at the collection point for all those channels of water. It catches the tears that have been flowing down from the high ground.
I love that image. The architecture functions as a vessel. It says, okay, the tears are coming. We can't stop gravity. We can't stop the water from flowing. But what we can do is build a place to catch it.
Exactly. And that is the emotional resolution here. Now, contrast this with the Henan funeral. The Henan ritual fights for life. It shouts, "No, we are alive." It punches the wall.
Right. It's active, it's hot.
But Daju Temple accepts the pain. It says, yes, you are hurting. The tears are flowing. That is natural. Let them come.
It validates the grief instead of fighting it.
It validates it completely. The architecture tells the visitor, your tears have a place to go. You don't have to hide them. You don't have to bottle them up and carry them around forever. The altar is a vessel of infinite capacity. It accepts, holds, and, in a way, purifies the suffering of the world. It provides a home for grief rather than asking you to immediately get over it.
That is so gentle. It's the cool approach you mentioned.
Yeah.
It cools the heat of suffering, not by fighting it, but by giving it space, by letting it flow.
It reminds me of, when you're crying, really, really crying, and someone just comes and holds you, they don't say stop crying. They don't say, cheer up, you're a willow tree, go grow.
No, that would be the worst thing to say.
It would. They just hold you. They just provide a safe container. The holding makes the crying okay. It lets it run its course.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
The Great Compassion Altar is the architectural equivalent of a hug that has lasted for centuries. It says, I am big enough to hold this. You can let go now.
I am big enough to hold this. That's the entire message. And think about the engineering of it. It's a containment strategy. Civil engineers build a dam or a reservoir to manage floodwaters so they don't destroy the village downstream.
Yeah.
The Dabaitan is a reservoir for emotional floodwaters.
It tells the visitor, you don't have to carry this all by yourself. The architecture is big enough. The earth is big enough to hold it for you.
It is an act of surrender. You stop trying to push the water back up the hill. You let it flow, trusting that it will be caught safely at the bottom.
Wow. Okay, so we had these two incredible distinct chapters in this plain book of heritage. Let's try to synthesize this, because they feel contradictory on the surface. One is screaming life, the other is whispering compassion, but the expert source argues they are complementary.
They are absolutely complementary. They are two sides of the same coin. They're both valid chapters in the Sushu. They just answer the question, how should we depart? In opposite but equally necessary ways.
So let's recap it for a second. Henan is the active chapter, the hot chapter.
Yes. The starry ceremony. It renames death as life, however. It uses the aggressive biology of the willow to insist on rebirth. It deals with fear by confirming continuity. It's for the part of us that needs to survive, that needs to ensure the family line goes on, that needs to feel the pulse of the universe in our hands.
It's the warrior mode. It's the Dylan Thomas poem, do not go gentle into that good night.
Correct. It mobilizes the community, it creates noise, it fights back.
And then Beijing Daju Temple is the passive chapter, the cool chapter.
Passive in the sense of receiving, not doing nothing. It is the container for tears. It uses gravity and water to visualize sorrow and then provides a great compassion basin to catch it. It deals with sadness by offering a resting place for it.
So that one is for the part of us that is broken, that is tired, that just needs to be held.
Yes. For when the fight is over.
One says, you are like the willow in the stars. You cycle back, get up. And the other says, your pain is valid. Let it flow into the ocean of compassion. Rest here.
And the beauty of it is, as humans, we usually need both at different times.
Right, I was just thinking that. They aren't mutually exclusive. The source calls these things transmission devices.
Yes, I love that term.
I really like it too. It makes them sound like tools, like hardware, like technology for the soul.
That's exactly what ritual and sacred architecture are. They are psychological technologies developed over thousands of years to help us process things that are too big for our individual brains to handle alone.
I've never thought of it that way.
I mean, think about it. We are social animals. We get scared when members of our pack disappear. Our brains panic. It's a primal fear. So our ancestors built these mechanisms to regulate that panic.
One mechanism for the fight or flight response. That's the Henan funeral.
Right. It gives you something to do.
And one mechanism for the surrender response, the need for comfort. That's the temple.
Exactly. And the Sushu, this plain book, it suggests that a complete human life needs access to both of these tools. Sometimes at the funeral, right in the thick of it, maybe I need the willow. I need to feel like I can stand up. I need to feel the handle of the star in my hand and know that I have a job to do.
You need the adrenaline, the purpose.
You need the adrenaline of survival. But 6 months later, when everyone's gone home and it's quiet on a Tuesday afternoon, when the adrenaline is gone, maybe then I need the water. Maybe then I need to go to the Western Hills and just sit by the altar and let it go.
It makes you wonder about our modern approach, doesn't it? We've largely stripped these things away. We have short, efficient services. We have celebrations of life where we try to skip the sad part and just be happy and share funny stories. But we've lost the grandeur of the machinery. We've lost the tools.
We've lost the external scaffolding, and what happens is we force individuals to build their own internal coping mechanisms from scratch every single time a tragedy happens.
And you're alone in that.
You're completely alone, wondering, how do I grieve? Is this normal? Am I doing it wrong? And that is exhausting.
It's incredibly lonely.
The beauty of the Henan ritual or the Beijing temple is that the structure is already there for you. You just have to step into it. You step into the role of the handle. You step onto the path of the water. You don't have to invent the meaning from nothing. You just inhabit it.
You don't have to invent the meaning. That's the takeaway for me, right there. These transmission devices are there to carry the load. They are legacy code written by millions of people before us who also faced the end and who figured out a way to survive it and pass that knowledge on.
And that's why reading this plain book matters. Even if we aren't in China, even if we aren't Buddhist or Taoist, we can look at the principle behind it. We can ask ourselves, do I have a handle to hold on to in my life? Do I have an altar to catch my tears?
We can build our own versions of these devices in our own lives, in our own communities.
We can, and we should.
You know, I want to go back to the Huo concept for just a second, the living coffin. Because I think there's something there that applies even if you aren't at a rural Henan funeral. It's the idea of refusing to label something as a dead end.
It's a mindset, isn't it? It's about how we frame transition.
Exactly. I mean, if you lose a job, is that a coffin, a dead end, the end of your career? Or can you choose to label it a living transition to the next phase of your life? If a relationship ends, is it a death, a failure? Or is it a willow branch planting itself in new soil, ready to grow into something different?
That's the hot wisdom. The Henan farmers are teaching us about resilience. Radical resilience. The ability to look at what seems like a full stop and see a comma instead.
Radical resilience, I like that. And then the Daoju Temple teaches us about, what? Radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance. Surrender. It's the understanding that you are not stronger than gravity. You cannot stop the water from flowing down the mountain. And you shouldn't try. If you try to stop the water, you just build up pressure, you create a flood. If you try to stop your grief, you build up pressure inside yourself.
And eventually the dam breaks.
Eventually it breaks, and it's often messy. The wisdom of the temple is, let it flow, but, and this is the crucial part, make sure it has somewhere to go.
That's the key. Make sure it has somewhere to go. Don't let it just flood the basement of your soul. Build an altar. Find your container, whether that's therapy or art or going for a long run or just having a friend who really knows how to listen. Find the thing that catches the water.
Find your Dabe Tan.
This has been such a journey today, from the blazing stars of the Central Plains to the flowing water of the Beijing Hills. It really is a deep dive.
Yeah.
It feels like we've traveled a long, long way.
And it just shows that even though we all face the same ending, the stories we tell ourselves about it, the rituals we perform, they can change everything. The design of the exit changes the experience of the exit.
So as we wrap up this reading of the plain book, I want to leave our listener with a visualization. We've thrown a lot of very vivid imagery at you today. The black coffin, the white cloth, the green willow, the flowing water.
It's a lot to process.
It is. But I want you to just imagine for a second that you were standing at a fork in the road. You were dealing with a loss, or maybe just the fear of one. Or maybe you're just tired and the world feels heavy. On one side of the road, there's a path leading to a wide open field. There's a willow tree there, and the wind is blowing through its branches. It offers you a branch, a living thing. It offers you a chance to fight, to replant, to be who? To be alive.
The path of resilience, the path of the warrior.
And on the other side of the road, there's a path leading into a quiet stone courtyard. You can hear the sound of water trickling over rocks. It offers you a place to sit. It offers you a cool stone basin that promises to take the weight off your shoulders, to hold whatever you needed to hold.
The path of acceptance, the path of the parent who holds the child.
If you had to reach out and touch one of them today, right now, which answer to death does your spirit actually need? The fight for life, or the surrender to compassion?
That is the question, and the answer might be different tomorrow than it is today.
That's the beauty of the book. It's always there to be reread, something to mull over. Thank you for diving deep with us into the stars, the willows, and the flow of tears.
It's been a privilege. Thank you.
We'll catch you on the next one.